welcome to Radio Friends on Thursday, August the 18th. We have a very passionate lady with us today, Joy Sweeney, Counsel for a Drug-Free Youth. Good to have you here, Joy.
Great to be here, Paul. Thank you.
I know you care a great deal about the message that you try to get out to young people, not just young people, but adults also.
Absolutely.
But you're so concerned about young people becoming addicted to any kind of drug.
Well, and because their brains aren't fully developed, and we know that now, you know, the brain science has come so far in the last 2 decades that we know that the brain is not fully developed until your mid-20s.
So 20 years ago, you didn't realize that if you were drinking alcohol at a young age or smoking pot at a young age, that you were rewiring, and that's basically what's happening.
Absolutely.
You're rewiring your brain. I know we were talking about that with Heather Harlan too. Now, when you're older, it's not as bad.
No.
But when you're still in the developing stage, you've taken one circuit and pulled it out from where it would be, and you've plugged it into another circuit. And then it's difficult to change that, isn't it?
Because it affects you for the rest of your life. And that's the big thing. It's the social and emotional development that is stunted at the time that you start using alcohol or smoking pot or those things. And that's what the scientists are learning now. And what you do, if you stop at some point in time, you can get back to a normal, quote unquote, whatever normal is for all of us, but you can function as an adult, but you have to learn to compensate for your social and emotional brain development.
Because it's permanently wired that way.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So as an adult, you think like a 15-year-old or a 14-year-old or whatever age it was that you started using marijuana or drinking alcohol.
No, wait. You're saying that you haven't developed from that age group?
Emotionally.
You haven't matured emotionally.
Socially and emotionally, yes. Yes, that's what the scientists are telling me. I don't go inside the brain. I don't know personally, but that's what Bertha Madras of Harvard, she's a Harvard psychobiologist, and that's what she just told me in February. So
she's saying that if you start at 15 or 16 years old and you stay on a drug that long, when you're 30 or 40, your emotions are still going to be that of a 15 or 16-year-old?
That's right.
Because the brain has been rewired.
That's right.
But as an adult, you have to try to compensate. You can't go out in daily life as a 35 or 40-year-old and act like a 15-year-old.
No.
So you got to work on that.
Absolutely. And so as adults, that's what we do. We adapt our behavior and we go, okay, that's probably not appropriate for this social setting. I got to act like a 30-year-old because that's how old I am now or whatever.
But you don't really feel like acting.
No, and sometimes it just gets blurted out. So
Yeah. So how do you impress this? I mean, this is pretty serious stuff you're talking about.
Absolutely.
How do you impress this on young people?
Well, and that's a great question, Paul, because the young people are so used to learning and most of the time they feel like they're invincible, so they think nothing.
We all do. When we're young, we think that we can do anything and it will have no consequence on us in the future.
Absolutely. I know I felt that way when I was a teenager.
I do too. And you don't realize how fast the future comes.
It's like that.
It's here before you know it.
Absolutely. And so, so the thing that we try, and many of the youth that we talk to understand and they get it and they're making good choices. The challenges that we face are, used to be primarily peer pressure. Now it's adults that drank or used drugs when they were younger going, oh, I smoked pot when I was da-da-da, and nothing happened to me. The marijuana of today is nothing like the marijuana of the 60s, or it's not Woodstock weed anymore. The THC levels are anywhere from 15 to 50% higher nowadays.
So what does that mean?
That means that it's a hallucinogen. It's like tripping on acid instead of smoking pot.
You're saying that the marijuana that people are smoking today is not the marijuana from 30 years ago?
No, it's not the same. Is anything the same? Is your cell phone the same as it was back in
No.
the day when they was those big contraptions? No, of course not. They're constantly manipulating things to make them better, right? Or more potent. And that's in this case, and that's why the dabbing explosions and all the ways that they can get the THC level to the highest content are happening right now with youth that are using substances. And we're just trying to educate and inform and get the parents to understand what's going on as well, because they don't get that the situation is not the same thing. It's not the same pot.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah,
No,
most
I
people
didn't
don't.
realize that it was not the same.
It-
So when you tell the parents, you try to explain this to parents who perhaps were smoking pot back then, and come on, almost everybody 20, 30 years ago was smoking pot.
Not everybody, but Paul, a lot of people were.
Yeah.
And that's the problem is that a lot of the pot, we've had a couple of past presidents that said, yeah, I smoked pot.
He didn't, but he didn't inhale.
You know.
And I honestly, I did it. I did it
Right.
35 years ago. But then all at once, I just decided this isn't for me.
Right.
And I've never, ever, ever had a desire to
go back.
No,
Well,
not at all.
and I
But
used
you're
to-
telling me that this pot now is not the same kind of pot that it was 30 or 40 years
No,
ago.
and that's the other thing too, is a lot of times now, there's places where it's legal now. And so older people that used to smoke pot will go to the places where it's legal, Colorado or whatever, and smoke again. And they're like, whoa, I used to smoke
Yeah,
every
but
day
then
and I had
think
one
about
hit.
What is it doing to your lungs also? It's messing up your lungs, so stay away from it.
Absolutely. And that's what we're trying to convince the young people so that they never start, they never become addicted, and that way they don't ever have to worry about how it deters your life or it shifts your life off kilter.
Yeah. If people want information about Council for a Drug-Free Youth, what do they do?
They can go to our website. It's jccdfy.org, or they can call us. Our phone number is 573-636-2411.
Okay.
And we're always willing, and we've got a Facebook page too. So,
Okay.
On Facebook.
Just go to Facebook.
right, Facebook.
And you'll have all that information on there.
Absolutely.
Why you should stay away from this substance.
And
because-
why you should keep your youth, protect our young
Yeah,
people.
that's the important thing. And if you're a mom and dad and you say, well, I used to do it years ago, this isn't the same stuff that you were using years ago.
Not at all.
Okay. Thank you so much, Joy, for coming by. Always a pleasure. Will you come back again?
Of course. Thank you for having me. I
Good to
appreciate
have
it.
you here, too. Friday, we've got some musicians from the Missouri Symphony Society on. Have yourself a good day. Bye-bye.